So what I'm holding here in my hands is the brand new QooCam Ego. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna unbox the QooCam Ego. I'm gonna show you some first steps to take with setting up this camera. Then we're gonna go on outside and I'm gonna shoot some sample footage with this and show you how to use it. And then finally, I'm going to offer my opinions on this camera. Let's get started. All right, so this is what the box it comes in looks like. Inside, we've got some instructions here on the top. Which is great. We've got the QR code right here so we can get the app installed. So we're gonna do that in a moment after I finish unboxing. And right here, we've got the main camera unit. And on the sticker here, it shows us what the swiping does. So you swipe right for playback, swipe down for more settings, swipe up for parameter settings, and swipe left for the focus distance. And then down in here, we've got the headset. This right here is going to be what you can look through. And this is going to attach to this unit, which I'll show you in a moment. And here we've got a little bag to put everything in, which is great. It's handy to have this pouch to keep it protected. And then down under here, I expect we've got a battery and some cables. All right, so here's the battery right here. It's actually a pretty sizable battery. Hopefully that translates to a good charge. We've got our USB to USB-C charging cable here. And then we've got a strap right here that we can attach to the camera. Oh, we have one more accessory here. Let's see what's in here. All right, so this is some type of mirror, which I'm guessing we can attach to the camera. It's probably gonna go right about there. It looks like this is probably like a selfie mirror where you can see your reflection if you have the camera pointed toward you. That's what that looks like to me. So we'll get that attached in a moment. All right, so we're gonna get some of this plastic pulled off. You know, there's something satisfying about pulling this off. All right, and then we've also got this little strip right here. Even better sound, love it. Let's get out this selfie mirror, stick it on. Oh, nice. So this attaches magnetically, essentially. I didn't really have to attach it, it just pops right on. It appears there's magnets like down under here and right up here. So it's magnetic, which is great. Oh yeah, we're gonna wanna pull this off as well. All right, so I'm gonna go over here to these instructions in a moment after we get the battery in. So on the side here, we've got a door. Reminds me of a different action camera door. If you own it, you know what I'm talking about. We're gonna pop the battery in. It's easy to line it up. We've got these connectors right here, which will line up on the inside on that side. And then right here is where the USB-C cable is gonna connect for charging. And right here is our micro SD slot right along here. Close this up. And I'm gonna set this here for now. We're gonna scan the app, and then we're gonna get that installed. And while we wait on that app to install, I'm gonna look through these instructions here. All right, so the instructions do talk about what these buttons are. It does show the swipes here as well, and it shows that you can use the app to control the camera, which is always great. It shows how to attach these together, which I'm gonna do in a moment. And then it shows step 6, someone looking through it. Oh yeah, and there's a step 7, which looks like this camera is not waterproof. So I would say be careful with this around water. It's likely water resistant, but probably not waterproof. All right, so that app is almost done. While we're waiting on it, I'm gonna get the viewer ready here. Take off each of these. And it looks like, yep, this is gonna connect right there. So the way we do this is we're gonna, now see, we try doing it that way and the magnets oppose. So the nice thing is they have the magnets set up so it only goes one way on, just like that. Pretty neat. All right, now that our app is done installing, we're gonna navigate through that. We're gonna agree to the agreement here. And then what I wanna do first is I wanna get this camera connected because I expect there's probably a firmware update. So we wanna make sure we do that. So I'm gonna power on the camera here with the power button. And this is what we're gonna see on the screen when we power it on. And I'm going to click search on the app and we're gonna let it find it. Meantime, I'm gonna click on the screen, select my language, and I'm going to select the date here. All right, so we've already got the app installed. We're gonna skip that. And we're once again gonna let the app find this. We've got the red symbol up here because I haven't put in a micro SD card yet. And 48% charge on the battery. That is enough to do a firmware update. So right now the app's not finding it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tap down. I'm gonna click on this wireless symbol. All right, we're gonna go back and we're gonna click search again now. And my guess is it's going to find the camera and we'll hopefully be able to connect. There we go. Did find the camera. We're gonna go back to the app. And it's going to prompt us to download firmware, which the firmware looks like it has quite a few important things in it. So I'm gonna click download and it's going to proceed to download the firmware. I'm gonna let it finish doing so on my phone. And we're really close to the end of that progress bar. And we'll see what happens here. All right. Please connect your phone to your camera. So I want to take a quick look at how to use this camera. So using this camera is actually quite simple. What we have here on top is we have a power button and we have the record button. That's it. So the power button turns it on, the record button starts recording. Then on the side here, these relate to the viewing options. So what we have here is this puts it into the viewer mode, and then this is how you toggle between your clips. And this is how you can instantly view that 3D footage directly from here. And it's really neat. It's a really neat feature to have the ability to just clip this on. Clips right here on the sides, locks into place with the magnets. And then you take this and you look right inside and you can view the footage you've just filmed. Really quite spectacular. So for unclipping this, all you have to do is squeeze here on both sides. Just pulls right apart and releases the magnets. So as far as actual settings on the camera go, it's really not complicated. To get to the menu, you simply swipe up. And on the side here, you'll see your couple options. You have EV comp, you have frames per second, you have timer, and you have exposure. Those are the 4 options you have. I like to keep the EV comp set to -0.3, just so that it doesn't overexpose my footage. And then for the frames per second, you have 60 or 30. I like to keep it at 60. 60 is a lot more realistic with 3D VR video. And then your timer, if you want to set any type of timer on your footage, you can do that. And then yeah, your exposure, if you click on that, you can choose sport, which is the slowest shutter, or you can choose auto. I just keep it at auto. Super simple. I would say one of the most important buttons here to know though, is this one right here. And this is how you adjust your focus. So if you have it set all the way over here on the left, this is gonna allow any objects in your foreground to focus, which is great. If you're talking to the camera, like vlogging, or if you have a person or an animal or another subject you want in focus, you're going to want to have it here. But if you're not going to have any particular subject in focus, you want to drag it all the way to infinity. Infinity over here is going to be the mode you use most of the time when you don't have a specific human that's talking to the camera. And infinity is going to be anything that's 3 feet or further away from the camera will be in focus properly. So it's going to do a pretty good job with autofocusing that as long as your subject's 3 feet away. And if you have it all the way down here on this end, your subject can be about a foot away from the camera and they'll be in focus. This is a really important menu to keep in mind, so make sure you're aware of that. And to get to the main menu of general settings, which we looked at earlier, you just swipe down and those are those settings there. And it is worth noting, it's got the connector here for a tripod plate on the bottom. This is also how you can connect it to gimbals. And I do recommend using a gimbal with this because this does not have built-in stabilization yet. I do see that QooCam has mentioned it's probably going to be releasing firmware that has EIS. That would be electronic image stabilization included on the camera. But for now, there's not stabilization, so definitely use a gimbal with this for best results. All right, so in case you're wondering why I have a different shirt on, it is a new day. The other day when I wanted to film some footage, the weather suddenly became quite uncooperative with some severe thunderstorms. So I had to put off filming that footage, but I got out today to film it. And today there actually were more thunderstorms, but those thunderstorms had rolled by just in time. And you can hear some thunder off in the distance in some of these clips, but the weather cooperated today, so I got in some great test footage. And I have to say, I'm pretty impressed by the quality of the footage from this camera. And I really like the ability to see it right here. So I can film, and then I can hold this up, and I can look through here and watch my footage. It was a lot of fun showing this to my son when we came inside. He held it up, and at first he was very surprised, but then he didn't want to put it down. He wanted to keep watching his adventure that he had out there with me. I would say this camera is great for you if you want to document and record any type of family memories, any moments like that. Because when you go back and watch it on here, you feel like you're reliving it. Everything is very real with that 3D VR. So that's kind of neat. It looks a lot different when you're viewing it through here. And if you have any other type of VR headset, or if you've done something with VR before, then you know what I'm talking about. You of course also can take the footage from here and you can edit it and upload it on YouTube. And I have to say the resolution is impressive on here as well. So it's got those dual 1920 by 1080, which is HD. But when you put those side by side, it makes the resolution almost a 4K at the end. And the pixel per degree of the 3D viewer on here is really good too. So when you're looking at this, it's very lifelike. It's truly neat just to have the ability to clip this on and look in here. You can instantly check your footage and make sure you got what you wanted to. And I also like the manual focus on here. So you can adjust the focus to have it about 1 foot away for the autofocus, or you can adjust it all the way down to the infinity end of the spectrum where your subject needs to be 3 feet or beyond. But the focusing is really good on here. And the colors are pretty good too that this captures. There's not a lot of manual control over the footage that you get, but the options that are there, like the EV comp, is important. And the frames per second, like I said before, I recommend keeping that at 60. It's very lifelike and realistic, and I like it that way. And I also like it that you can share the content from here via Wi-Fi to other devices that can view VR content. So if you have a different type of VR headset that will work with this, or if you have a TV where you can view that 3D content on there, you can Wi-Fi share it directly to that and view it that way. So that's also pretty cool. Right now, there are only 3 cons that I have with this device. The first one is the setup process seemed a little bit buggy, trying to get that initial firmware upgrade. After I got the firmware upgrade, it seemed to go a lot smoother. So it's possible that if you purchase this device, it'll probably come with a newer firmware than the one that I got early on. But getting that initial firmware update done did take a little bit of trial and error, but I did get it figured out eventually. And QooCam does have instructions on their website for how to update this manually with a micro SD card. And that's probably what I would recommend doing, just to avoid that Wi-Fi connection bugginess there initially. Which, to be fair to QooCam, that's not just a QooCam issue. I've had that issue with multiple camera manufacturers, so I'm by no means singling out QooCam. The 2 other cons that I see is the battery life is not all that impressive on here. So if you're gonna take this out for a day of adventure, you're gonna wanna have several batteries, or you're gonna want an external power pack. Personally, I would recommend an external power pack like the Anker one that I use with other cameras. You can power this via USB-C. In the end, that's probably gonna be a lot more cost-effective than buying multiple batteries. The third con at this point is this doesn't have any image stabilization built into it. QooCam does say that's coming with a later firmware update, which is great. Until then, if you own a gimbal and you have this camera, you're gonna wanna use it on a gimbal. Otherwise, your footage is gonna be really shaky and it's not gonna look great. But the footage I filmed today was on a gimbal and it looks fabulous. Really happy with the footage. This camera does create great quality footage. So if you have the gimbal, until there's electronic image stabilization, your footage will look great. So yeah, overall, my professional opinion on this is a pretty neat camera. It's got some cutting edge tech on it. And again, I really like built-in headset where you can view your footage instantly and you can share it with your family, you can look at it. I like seeing innovation like this, and QooCam has done a great job with this camera. And if you want the ability to film 3D VR footage, I definitely encourage you to check out the QooCam Ego.